Hi, my name is Deb from DG Reads, and I'm here today to bring you another massive book haul of books that I received in August. So Bookmail was very kind to me again in August, so I wanted to share what I received, maybe get a little input on where I should start in my stack. You're hearing Kylie jingling behind you because she's jealous that I did not include her. I instead brought my coffee for this particular shoot. I think I'm going to need it. I don't have a ton of organization here, but we're going to start with gifted books and move on to the books that I actually purchased during the month. So we've got a lot to go through. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, starting with some nonfiction, I've got Tomorrow Will Be Different, Love, Loss, and the Fight for Trans Equality. This is a nonfiction by Sarah McBride, and one that I think nonfiction tends to kind of tell you what it's about in the title, so I don't have a lot more to say on this one other than I'm looking forward to it. And this is a gifted copy from Crown. House of Glass by Sarah Pekkanen. St. Martin's Press kindly sent me a finished copy. I actually read this one as an ARC and had a really good time with it. We are following a lawyer who is assigned to protect the best interests of a child after her nanny falls to her death. So she's investigating the family, the child. Is the child behind the murder? She doesn't know, but it was a good time and I would recommend it. And then I have The Crimson Crown by Heather Walter, and this one is a Snow White reimagining where the queen gets to tell her side of the story. It is described as a queer, witchy reimagining of the classic fairy tale. So this one definitely is one I'm looking forward to. It's a bit chunky, but I do think it sounds like a good time. I do enjoy a good villain origin story. Next up, we've got Ami, and this is the second book in the Guardians of Dawn, and I read the first book relatively recently, so I've been looking forward to picking up the sequel. I had a good time with the first book, which was Jara, and this one, therefore, on my TBR. This is a gifted copy from Wednesday Books. They kindly sent a signed signature plate and a picture with an image from the first book on it. The tagline in this one says, "Monsters hide, love divides, the dead will rise. They say that when the world is out of balance, the Guardians of Dawn are born." So I don't know too much about what the plot of this one is going to be, but I look forward to finding out. And as I was reading that, I realized we also got a sticker for this book, which now has a bit of puppy fur attached to it, but that's okay. Everything in my house does. Next up, from Karen Slaughter, this is Why We Lie. This is the newest installment in the Will Trent series. I really always enjoy Karen Slaughter's books in general. The Will Trent series is one that I've been really liking as well. I think I missed a couple of books along the way, but I always find it easy to jump back in, and I have read the most recent one, so I'm excited for this. And we've got our GBI investigator Will Trent and Sarah Linton, who's the medical examiner, are on a getaway at the McAlpine Lodge, but then somebody dies. So not quite so cozy, but I'm very much looking forward to this. And thank you to William Morrow for my gifted copy. And then I have a gifted copy from Knopf of The Divide by Morgan Richter. And this one said it had a failed actress turned grifting psychic on the search for her doppelganger. So that had me very intrigued to pick this up. And then another gifted copy from Knopf, I have Passion Tide by Monique Roffey. And this one says, early one morning at the close of St. Colobry's Carnival, a young female steel pan player is found dead beneath a cannonball tree. It is a discovery that will transform the lives of everyone on the small island. So definitely getting a lot of good mysteries, thrillers, creepy times going here for fall. And along that vein, I have The Woman Who Lied by Claire Douglas. This is a gifted copy from Harper. In this one, we're following an author, and she's writing her 10th book, and life starts to kind of mimic something that happened in her book, which seems like a really weird coincidence until it keeps happening. And that type of story definitely calls to me. From Celadon, I received Devil is Fine, a novel by John Bircher, and this is one I actually read quite a while back, but will be passing on this copy because I know others will enjoy it. But this one is following a man whose son has died. He's dealing with a lot of grief and trying to reconcile the past. It says it's a poignant story of what it means to be a father, a son, a writer, and a biracial American fighting to reconcile the past. And I did really think this was beautifully written. It handles a lot of difficult topics, so do look at trigger warnings, but I do have a full review for this up on my platforms. Next up, from Gallery Books, I received The Witch's Daughter by Orenda Fink, and this one is a subtitled My Mother, Her Magic, and the Madness That Bound Us, and it is following the author, who is a musician and songwriter, and the childhood that she had with a mother battling mental illness and addiction. And I do really like getting a lot of mental health reading into my nonfiction. Typically, I work for a mental health service delivery company, so that's always a topic that calls to me. From Ballantine Books, I received Wild Failure, Stories by Zoe Whittall, and this one is a short story collection. It says, characters encounter feelings of shame, desire, and attachment and disconnection as they navigate through bad decisions, unusual situations, and fraught relationships. This is one I've been eager to get to, and I will hopefully be picking it up really soon. It's nice and short, so it could work out well for my really packed September TBR to get some more short stories in. Also from Gallery, I received People Will Talk by Kieran Scott, and this one is a suspenseful story of 3 women implicated when an impromptu wedding leads to murder. So more in the mystery category, thriller category, I think. From Random House, I received In the Blink of an Eye by Joe Callahan, and this one is a sci-fi mystery thriller, it sounds like. We're following Kat, who is a cop, and she is working on some cold cases. She's been picked to lead a pilot program, pairing her with an AI to assist. So I really am intrigued by AI in my fiction, so I am looking forward to reading this one. From Del Rey, I have The Seventh Veil of Salome, and this one is by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, who is an author I've grown to really trust and enjoy. And this one is described as a historical epic following a woman in the role of a lifetime in a film, and there's a lot of drama going on behind the scenes. Historical fiction and me have not been on the best of terms, but when Sylvia Moreno Garcia puts her name on the cover, it's one I'm going to pick up and expect to enjoy. Also from Del Rey, I have Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid, and this again is an author that I've read and really enjoyed in the past. This is obviously a take on Shakespeare's Lady Macbeth, which is a play that is close to my heart, just good memories from studying it in high school with friends, and I do enjoy kind of remaking of Shakespeare, so I'm looking forward to finding out what this one's all about. Next up, I have The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, and this is a gifted copy from Ballantine Books. I read this as an ARC and absolutely loved it. We're dealing with characters who went missing years ago and returned. We're dealing with some magical realism, alternate worlds. There's a lot going on in this one. It's paired to kind of Chronicles of Narnia in some ways, and just a beautiful story. I really enjoyed it. I'll be passing this copy off to some people who I know will enjoy it as well, and thank you again to them for sending me a gifted copy. In more nonfiction, I have White Robes and Broken Blades, Infiltrating the KKK and Exposing the Evil Among Us by Joe Moore, and this is following Joe Moore, who was an FBI informant and former Army sniper who is tasked by the FBI to infiltrate the KKK. I think the title kind of says it all. This is a gifted copy from Harper, so thank you to them for this. And then from Harper Perennial, I have Here to Stay, Poetry and Prose from the Undocumented Diaspora, and it is edited by the Undocu Poets, that sounds possibly right, who are Marcelo Hernandez Castillo, Janine Joseph, and Esther Lynn. And it says it's a collection of both prose and poetry in a lot of different formats. If you could flip through a little bit, you'll see there's text in different formats. And it says it's a collection of honest, searing, and evocative poems interspersed with personal narratives. And it says it's collected works from people who are undocumented or were undocumented or are from mixed families where some are documented and not, and definitely something I expect to be a moving reading experience. From Harper, I have a gifted copy of Buried Road by Katie Tallow, and this one is a gifted ARC. It comes out on December 3rd. In this one, it sounds like we're following a woman named Gus, her daughter Bly, and the man who is Gus's love of her life, goes missing on a camping trip, and the case goes cold until a couple of years go by and they see his obituary and are pulled back into it and make some discoveries that reopen the case. So this one sounds like it'll be a fun thriller read, and I look forward to picking it up before it's out in December. From Harper Perennial, I have Eddie Winston is Looking for Love by Marianne Cronin. This one is an arc that comes out on September 10th, so I need to get to this one soon. This one is following a 90-year-old man named Eddie who has lived a fantastic life but has never found love, and he's never been kissed. When he meets a troubled young woman named Bella and she finds out about this, she decides to help him find love. And it sounds like it could be a really good, heartwarming read, so looking forward to this one. And then one more from Harper Perennial, I have Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, and I actually just read this one right before I received this one in the mail, so a review will be coming soon. The story is a take on Demon Copperfield, which I haven't read, so I can't really comment on that part of it, but we're following a young man who is nicknamed Demon, and he is born to a dead father, a teenage mother. There's a lot in here about addiction and poverty and hard-hitting subjects. I struggled a little bit with this one. I think just in my historical fiction isn't 100% drawing me in, but it is a fantastically written book. Barbara Kingsolver is an author I really enjoy in general, so I do recommend it when you're in the right headspace for it. There's definitely a long list of trigger warnings. Do check that out, but definitely worth picking up. And then I have some nonfiction from Scribner. This is Bone of the Bone, Essays on America by a Daughter of the Working Class by Sarah Schmarsh. And this says that it is a collection of essays. The author is a journalist who grew up on a wheat farm in Kansas, and it touches on class division, political fissures, gender inequality, environmental crisis, media bias, and rural-urban gulf. So it sounds like it has some good topics in here, and I look forward to finding out. And then also from Scribner, I have The Story of a Heart, Two Families, One Heart, and the Medical Miracle That Saved a Child's Life by Dr. Rachel Clark. Like that pretty much says, it is the story of two children, one dying, one in need of a heart, and the way this winds up connecting two families, one in loss, one in a saving grace, basically. And it sounds like it'll be very touching, and I look forward to it. Going in a slightly different direction, I have a couple cookbooks. The first one being Show Boards, Next Level Platters and Boards That Win the Party by Leah Dixon, the Platter Girl. And this one definitely has some really gorgeous and really creative board designs. Get those, we'll focus on some of those on the back. And I always enjoy a good cheese board, fruit board, any of those types of things at a party. So I'm excited to explore this one. And this one came from Castle Point Books. And then from Avery, I just received the Vegan Instant Pot, and it is by Nisha Vora. And this one actually has the tag that it is an authorized Instant Pot book. I really love my Instant Pot, especially when it comes, actually it's all year round. In the summer, it's great because I can cook a meal without having to turn on the heat of the stove. It's great any time of the year just because I cook things really fast. While I am not vegan, I do enjoy vegan food on occasion. So really looking forward to trying this out. I've already been flipping through it. It's got some gorgeous photos in here and definitely some food that looks absolutely amazing. So I will be using this in the near future. From Modern Library, I received a trio of books by John Wyndham. I think this is a basically reissue of some older stories. We've got The Day of the Triffids, and this one has an introduction by Jeff Vandermeer. A blurb from Stephen King on the front says this is the best writer of science fiction England has ever produced. And this one, we have a character who undergoes eye surgery, wakes up the next morning to find civilization collapsing, and the world is full of 7-foot tall plants that can walk and kill. It says it's the inspiration for 28 Days Later and countless post-apocalyptic novels, so definitely one I plan to check out. We've got The Midwich Cuckoos. This one says, what if the women of a sleepy English village became simultaneously pregnant and the children, once born, possessed supernatural and possibly alien powers? And then Technical Slip is a collection of short stories. So So all of these are ones that really have me intrigued. I read classics with my classics buddy read quite frequently, but don't often get into kind of older classic sci-fi, horror, those types of books. So definitely want to change that. Tor Nightfire sent me Crypt of the Moon Spider by Nathan Ballingrud, and this one is set on the moon. It is an alternate history set in 1923. The Barrowfield Home for Treatment of the Melancholy is located on the moon, but beneath the moon's surface once lived a giant spider, and I'm guessing maybe it's still there. I don't know, but I will find out. Also from Tor Nightfire, I have Schrader's Chord by Scott Leeds, and this one says, after his estranged father's mysterious death, Charlie Remick returns to Seattle to help with the funeral. His father left him two parting gifts: the keys to the family record store and a strange black case containing 4 antique records that, according to legend, can open a gate to the land of the dead. From Minotaur Books, I received City of Secrets by PJ Tracy, and this is a Margaret Nolan mystery. I want to say that it said it was number 4 in the series, although it sounds like you can read them as standalones. In this one, there is a fatal carjacking, but they find out that the person killed was about to sell a company for millions of dollars, and then more things start to happen, and clearly there's more than just a carjacking going on here. From Doubleday, I received Dogs and Monsters by Mark Haddon, and this one is a collection of 8 short stories that combine Greek myths with contemporary dystopian narratives, according to the back, and I really enjoyed this author's The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, so I was excited to hear that there was a story collection as I'm trying to get more stories into my reading, so that one I'm looking forward to. And then I received from Bramble 6 Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent, and I have read books 1 and 2 in this series, but I haven't read the novella to go with them. So I will be fully picking this one up very soon. I did really enjoy the series. I really like Serpent and the Wings of the Night the most of the two because I like the competition aspect in that one, but I enjoyed the series as a whole and definitely look forward to reading more. From Gallery Books, I have Miranda in Retrograde by Lauren Lane, and this is one that sounds like it should be a really fun read. It is a physics professor who gets passed over for the job they wanted, or the tenure they wanted rather, and she decides for a year just to go by her horoscope predictions, and it sounds like it should be a lot of fun. Back with some nonfiction, I have The Secret Lives of Numbers, a hidden history of math's unsung trailblazers by Kate Kitagawa and Timothy Revel, and this one is looking at some unknown people, I think, in the history of numbers and math, and it seemed like it could be an interesting time. I've always kind of enjoyed math, even though I was more so drawn into English and reading and all of that, so we'll be checking this out, and this one's a gifted copy from William Morrow. And then last but not least for this stack, I have Mina's Matchbox by Yoko Ogawa. I really enjoyed this author's The Memory Police, so I've been wanting to try something else that they've written. This one says it is a hypnotic introspective novel about an affluent Japanese family navigating buried secrets and the young house guest who uncovers them. I literally know nothing about this one. When I requested it, I just knew I loved the author and therefore wanted to give this one a try. And with that, that's all of my books that I received as gifts, and my memory card's about to die on me. So I will be back shortly with the books that I purchased during the month of August. Okay, I'm back. Let's go through my purchase books. From Once Upon a Book Club, I received Daughters of Olympus, and this is by Hannah Lynn. This is, I believe, a Persephone and Demeter Greek retelling. I don't know much more about it than that, other than I really enjoy the Once Upon a Book Club experience. If you don't know what that is, it is a book club where they send you the book, and then as you're reading, you get to these little post-its in the book, and something inspired by whatever you're reading in that particular moment has inspired the gift that you get to open that comes in the box as well. So it always makes it even more fun. The book club sends out books across all sorts of genres, often pushing me a little bit out of my comfort zone in terms of what they're picking, but I found some really great books that I wouldn't have otherwise picked up if I didn't have this subscription, and sometimes they send books that I'm really itching to read also. So it's a great experience. I do have a a discount code, and I will have that link down below for you if you do have any interest in it. From Fairy Loot this month, I received The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song, and this is a Mulan retelling. We're following a young woman whose father doesn't want to go to war, and she winds up undercover kind of taking his place. I actually read this as an ARC and really enjoyed it, and this edition is absolutely stunning. This is one of my favorite sprayed edges we've had in quite a while. And the back also is really, really pretty. Sometimes I'm disappointed to get books that I've already read in a subscription box because I've already read them, but this one is one I knew Fairy Loot would do a really gorgeous edition of, so I was really excited for it. And then I have another one from Once Upon a Book Club, and this is The Lonely Hours by Shannon Morgan. This one they actually sent us a special edition of, and got this on the back. It says, "Perhaps it's not the dead I should fear." It definitely sounds like it has some spooky vibes going on for spooky season. The blurb says, "In a bewitchingly melancholy, thrillingly modern ghost story for readers of Eve Chase, Megan Shepherd, and Lisa Jewell, the new inhabitants of a centuries-old castle perched on a remote island in northwest Scotland must confront its tragic and terrifying history." One of the bonus points I could go for Magical Readathon this month is a castle on the cover, so I suppose this would work. And then doing a little bit of Pango shopping this month, I did pick up Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This is one I read at the beginning of the month and absolutely loved. It was so much fun, and I needed to grab a copy because this wound up being my favorite book of the month, so I needed to be able to fit on my shelves. And I really like the Aardvark edition that I wound up finding. They've got the cute little Aardvark symbol down there in the A, and I just think it's adorable, and the seller actually sent me the Aardvark bookmark to go with it as well. Even though I did not pick it up from them when I had the opportunity, I was glad to find it on Pango. And then sometimes when you're shopping on Pango, you realize if you spend $2 more in the shop, you can get free shipping. So I found a $2 book in the shop to get my free shipping. This is The Tent by Margaret Atwood. This is an author I've enjoyed before. I know really nothing about this other than it's very short. It has a mix of pieces, short stories I guess it would be, and definitely worth saving on shipping, and definitely something I do want to read anyway, so it was a great find. In my Nightworm subscription this month, I received Flowers from the Void, and it is by Gianni Washington. It is a group of 13 short stories. It says 13 dark tales are told through the lenses of Black, female, and queer narrators, among others, which burrow deep in the heart of the Gothic to challenge the conventional nightmare. And the world is working with me in my desire to read more short stories, so this I'm very much looking forward to. Definitely a creepy cover for spooky season. And then also from Fairy Loot this month, we got Sleep Like Death by Kaylin Barron, and I don't know very much about this other than it is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. I do have it on my TBR for the month for the Magical Readathon because it has an apple and therefore food on the cover. It says on the back, "Cinderella is dead, but Snow White fights on." And it is really pretty. Nice edges. Both of the books were stunning this month. We got an author letter in here. We got foiled end papers, which are gorgeous, and under the cover art and foiling all as well. And then from Illumicrate, we got Mistress of Lies by K.M. Emright, and this one has very dark vibes with cover, with the edges. The back's got some really pretty foiling on it as well. I know very little about this one. Disturbing art under the cover there, and a really pretty. For those looking for bats on the cover, they're not on the cover necessarily, but they're on the naked hardcover on this one. So that might be a good idea. I'm getting the sense this has Dracula vibes. Mistress of Lies is a darkly seductive romantasy debut with a villainous, bloodthirsty heroine who finds herself plunged into the dangerous world of power, politics, and murder in the court of the Eternal King. So I will obviously be checking this one out. And then the second book received from Nightworms this month was Heads Will Roll by Josh Winning. This is an author I've been wanting to read more from, and I'm very excited for this one. It's set at a summer camp for adults who are wanting to escape mistakes they've made in their past. We're following a main character, I think, who is a sitcom star, and she's tweeted herself into infamy and landed absolutely blind drunk into a swimming pool and has been sent to this summer camp where things are apparently going to go really, really, really wrong. For Twisted Retreat this month, we actually got 2 books. First up, we've got The Final Scene by Steph Nelson, and this one has some really pretty frayed edges on it as well. Very pretty foiling there. I don't even know if it's going to get up right, but gorgeous artwork underneath also. Brooke was kidnapped 10 years ago, and she's been held captive that entire time, having to do anything her captor says to stay alive. But now another captive has shown up and the rules have changed. And this one is marked as a thriller. And then I think a little more in the horror vein from them this month, we have On a Clear Day You Can See Block Island, and this is by Gage Greenwood. And this one, again, a little bit more of a creepy edge to it, and got a map inside. More disturbing artwork and an alternate cover, it looks like, under here. 4 years ago, the Keating family endured something awful on Block Island, and they've left the island, but the island hasn't left them. And now the siblings have an opportunity to go back and face their demons, which sounds like it's going to be rather literal. And then last but not least, I have one more from Illumicrate, and that is The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. And this one actually is also on my TBR for September because I needed a phoenix on the cover, and this one certainly works. It's also got the braid edge going with it. We've got more on the back. Some really pretty artwork inside, and another phoenix on the naked hardcover. I don't know too much about the plot of this one, but it is described as a cozy fantasy, I believe, and it's set in a magical zoo with mythical creatures, including apparently possibly a phoenix. So I will be picking that up this month. So that's it. I say that as if that's not a ton of new books I need to find space for on my shelves, but that is all I do have for you today. Please help me out in the comments below. Are there any here you definitely recommend that I pick up? Are there any that you would love to hear reviews on that you aren't sure if you want to pick up, but you want to hear someone else talk about them first? Let me know. I definitely could use some direction on where to head in these stacks because there's a lot here. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you don't have any books to recommend or comment below, give me a book related emoji down in the comments if you made it this far and you don't have anything to say. If you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. I would really appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in more of my content or seeing me review some of these books. But for now, I will leave you here and catch you really soon in a new video.